Hey guys, this is Chaya Garcia, relationship therapist, and I just had someone message me, and I just want to answer it publicly because I feel like when someone asks a question, it can relate to a lot of people, and I also know that I personally went through it. So just last night, I was sitting on the couch with my husband. My daughter was asleep, thank God, and hi, Mumu, and I was telling my husband how I worked so hard for him. I was sitting there in this moment on the couch with like the most full heart of gratitude. And I'm sitting there on the couch in my beautiful home with my beautiful husband, with my beautiful child Schlifing. And I was thinking to myself how blessed I am to have been sitting there with him. And I turned to him and I said, I worked so hard for you. You know, there were so many nights where I was living by myself and I could have invited a guy over to snuggle, to watch a movie, to hang out, to give me attention, to give me affection. And I didn't. For many years, for 4 years to be exact, once I moved to Israel till I met my husband, I was basically Shomer Nagia. And that meant that I decided to learn how to love myself and give myself attention and affection and not wait or need it from a man. And obviously attention and affection from the opposite sex is different, but it's also not necessarily needed to fill the void that you have in general. So I was sitting there last night on the couch and I was saying to him like how hard I worked for him, and you know, I told him that there were so many guys who asked me out who I said no to, and there were so many nights that I was lonely that I could have went out and like, you know, found a guy to talk to or to invite over to even just sit with me and watch a movie, and I didn't. And that there was so much work on my part to maintain my Shomer Nagia and to maintain, not the Shomer Nagias, that's for some people, hopefully it's for everyone, but sometimes not. What I'm trying to share is that I had a value system. I had a system of beliefs of what I wanted, and I wasn't willing to give up. And that's what I'm trying to share. You can have whatever level of religiosity, of spirituality, of financial success. You can have whatever level you want. But once you decide what kind of life that you want, hopefully it's great. You can't give up on that. I mean, you can, but where is that going to leave you? So when I was looking at my husband last night on the couch with my heart full of gratitude, I was thinking about the pain of the lonely nights, of the missed opportunities that I could have done if I wanted to just live without my goal in mind, but I didn't. And I said no to so many men and opportunities and affection and breaking Shomer Nagias and thinking, is it worth it? Is it worth it to really wait? And it really is. My husband, when I was sitting there with him, he is such an extraordinary man, and I would never have been at the level to merit my husband if I would have broken my value systems and my belief systems before him. So it's really, really easy to give up. It's really easy to think, does it really matter? I just want to go back to dating the normal way. So someone messaged me and she was saying that she wants to just date the normal way, like screw like the religion and the shidduch dating and Shomer Nagia. Like, can't I just like get a boyfriend and see if it works? And so what I want to say to people is you have to understand like what values you have in life and then be consistent with them. If your value system does not contain being Shomer Nagia, then for you to give that up is not a big deal. But if you value something, in this case it was a topic of Shomer Nagia, if you value that your husband or your wife doesn't frivolously touch the opposite sex, then to give that up because you're frustrated isn't going to lead you down the path that you want to go. It's definitely not going to lead you to your highest potential of love. And it's definitely not going to make you feel proud of yourself, which then makes you have much more self-loathing, which then makes you have a lot more poor decisions. So you have to see the trajectory of your decision making. And I think that was a very big thing for me. I was able to see the trajectory of my decision making. There's a pasuk somewhere in the Talmud and the Torah that says, like, who is wise? He who can see how his actions will play out in the future. And I always kept that in mind because I knew what would happen if I entertained the thought of just dating regularly. It would take me down a very specific path of snuggles and other things and Definitely not the man that I had in mind that I wanted to marry. Definitely not the extraordinary man that Adam is. Definitely not the extraordinary father that Adam is. And I just want to share from a really vulnerable place. Marriage is intense. And women go through so much, especially once they have children, their hormones, their bodies, everything changes so much. If you don't have a good, stable, strong, healthy man, I can't imagine what marriage would be like, honestly. And I've dated men before my husband who were not, amazing, and it was before my recovery process. And I just look at my daughter now. I look at her often, and I think, thank God I had a kid with Adam. Like, thank God I had a child with my husband. Because what if I had a child, God forbid, with one of my exes who were addicts? My child would have a very high potential of becoming an addict, because it is hereditary and you see it all the time. If you can't make decisions and hold your hierarchy of values with strength for yourself, then think about it for your marriage, for staying married, for your children, what you want to raise them with the genes that they're going to get passed down with. One of the reasons why I didn't want to marry my ex who was an addict was because I didn't want my children to have the genes of addiction inside of them. God forbid I would have to go through that. I mean, you never know what can happen to any of your children, but you don't increase your risk by making crappy decisions. So when this woman, this sweet girl who wrote to me and asked me, can't I just give up on this shidduch world and this religious thing on, can't I just date regularly and see what happens? Why does there have to be a structure? It's not about the structure. It's about what you decide you value in life, and being able to develop the strength inside of you to deal with pain, to deal with struggle, to deal with negative self-talk, to deal with doubt. Because if you've already established value systems, then to give them up isn't because you decided they're not valuable. It's because you decided that you might be too weak to handle the pain that is with waiting, that is with the in-between phases, that is within the struggles. And the struggles are what build you and what allow you to increase in life to the next phase of life, which God willing will be whatever success that you value. So it's easy to give up. It's easy to say, I don't want something. But for the girls who are struggling, for the people who are struggling, see what it can bring you. What man I could have married if I would have given up on my values of being Shomer Nagia, of being of being religious, of believing that God is everything, and that's the path that I want to live my life. I could not have had the marriage and the life that I have now if I would have given that up. So think for the future. Think about your children. Think about the struggles of marriage and how you really need a healthy person to maintain the marriage and to be able to have one that you want to stay in. Getting married is not an amazing thing if you're with someone who's unhealthy. It's a trap. Marriage can be the biggest freedom of having stability and someone to love you and be there for you when you're going through rough times, or it could be literally a trap when you're in a marriage where someone's not able to be with you through the hard times because they don't have the emotional capacity because they're not healthy, and then you're trapped in a situation where there's just filth and toxicity and unhealthiness. So getting married isn't such an amazing thing that people say, like, why are you getting married? Think about what you're trying to create, what your vision is for your life, what your purpose is, and how you can best achieve that, and who you need to marry to best achieve that. A man who frivolously touches other women versus a man who doesn't has a different value system. And if it's the same value system as yours, then that's really, really important. So to everyone, I hope that you have the strength to see what kind of family you want to build, to know that you really, really need a good, stable person, to have that be healthy and strong. That means you need to be really good and healthy and stable to attract that person. Do the work. It's worth it when you see your little beautiful daughter or son smiling back at you and you feel like you just made the best decision in the world to go through the pain, because it's not easy to go through the pain. It's so hard, but it's so worth it. The things you can gain from a healthy marriage and the things you can gain when you see a healthy child is invaluable. And that becomes the rest of your life once you're married and you have children. That is the rest of your life, those relationships. Work hard, it's worth it. Peace.